Hello, everyone, and welcome to Werewolf the Apocalypse, Part of the Forest. I think this is the first of the two games that I'm aware of. I think. Because I think the other one is Purgatory, and I think that's after this one. But I could be wrong. I'm not positive. I know it is from the same people, or similar people, who did the VTM games, the Kotoris of New York and Shadows of New York. Um, Yeah, I've never played the tabletop of this. This is based off of a tabletop, just like VTM was. Hi, Maru. And sorry, he's being cute over here. I've never played it, so I don't know anything about it. I know it's a visual novel for this game, at any rate. So, yeah. Yeah, we're just gonna jump right in and see what happens. God, you're cute, Maru. You're such a cute boy. Yes, you are. You're just so cute. I love you so much. Okay, new game. Prologue. Premonition. It's pretty already. Tutorial. Oh, and I'm also super excited about this already. Damn it, I'm covering it up. I'll read it. So this game actually has accessibility text, and I can put it in open dyslexic font to help with my dyslexia. So that's exciting. So, let me move the cats real quick. I'm gonna hope that that's not blocking anything, but we will find out in a moment. And as we play, we'll figure out where to put them. This game is about rage and how it helps us do things that need to be done, as well as things that we later regret. Sometimes both. How do you feel about that? Great, I'm always angry. I'm okay with anger when it's useful. Well, I prefer to think before I act. Yeah. Your rage is low. So, you're the observant and cunning type. That's okay. There's no right path here, just your decisions and their consequences. Let's just follow the path and see where it takes us. Consequences, schmonsequences. I'm smarter than that. Now, let's see where the path takes us. The woods are full of stars. They flicker, come closer, run away. They want me to chase them, to play hide and seek. Ooh. I observe. I watch as they dance around the tree trunks, float up on the gusts of wind that shiver through the branches, disappear among the leaves. There are words in their dance, but I don't understand them. Not yet. When they bunch up and fly toward me like an arrow rushing down, they're soon upon me, but just before the spear of light pierces my breast, they disappear, and the dark of the night returns. In the darkness, the spirits keeping the forest alive whisper about the enemy. I begin to move, unnoticed, one with the night, and then I wake up. But have you seen the moon? Cold and alone. Confused, I open my eyes. The forest around me is thick, dark, and reeks of decay to such an extent that it's hard to breathe. The smell fascinates me. I recognize this forest. Why am I here? Reeks of decay to such an extent it's hard to breathe. That sounds uncomfy. Why am I here? My head is spinning. Why am I here? There must be a reason. The tree trunks, wrapped tightly in the dark-leaved ivy, are covered in ripples of lichen where the vines haven't taken hold. The thorny, leafless bushes at their base are overrun with nettles. The fungi radiate with the ghoulish, sickly green light. Dark, sponge-like mushrooms cling to the fallen trees. I try to breathe. I'm cold. Something is rotten. I try to breathe. I take a deep breath and suddenly realize that it's not the forest that smells so foul. It's me. I look down and see my hands covered in a dark substance. I'm naked. A sticky, glistening film of liquid is clinging to my skin. I can feel it on my face, in my hair. Blood. I'm alert. I look at... Oh, nope, I read that already. Okay. Nature is never quiet. The leaves rustle in the wind. Small creatures scuttle in the undergrowth. There is a whisper. I don't understand what it means, but the word resonates in my head. Garou. Who said that? There's a severed head right in front of me. Some choices are hard to make, and they strain your willpower. I wince and touch it. I'm gonna be sick. I feel like if there was a severed head sitting in front of me, I don't think I would get sick, but I wouldn't want to touch it either. I would just be looking at it like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. Overcoming my disgust, I gently touch its wet hair and watch as the head topples over. The face is contorted, the eyes bulging, the mouth open as though the head were still struggling for air. I look at it and start to laugh, and then eyes open in the darkness. Who is it? I look at it and start to laugh. Oh, wait, sorry, I read that part already. I looked away as it was moving. I can see their silhouettes, shades of jet black against the darkness. They smell of fur and moss and bloodied earth. Massive creatures, some with horns, some with antlers. Their eyes burn like small, fiery windows into hell. I look at them, and something wakes inside me. Defiance. I would be defiant if I feel threatened. They tell me stories of their lost battles and dying hopes, and I say no. I tell them my stories of the enemy and how they are so stupid, so clueless that we almost feel pity as we kill them. They listen and laugh. I laugh with them. In a moment, clarity, I almost understand what the forest wants from me, and then I wake up. Chapter 1, Arrival. Start the chapter. I know I just did the prologue, so I'll do chapter 1. I think I'll see how long chapter 1 is, and then I'll decide from there how long I want to keep the episodes. Because usually with VTM, I did one night at a time. When I was recording it, when I was streaming it, I did 3 hours at a time. So, yeah, it's easier to record than it is to stream, because 3 hours is so strenuous on my voice. Dreams. Maia? Maia! Maia, wake up! I opened my eyes. My neck was stiff. I stretched lazily as I assessed where I was out the corner of my eye. I wasn't in the forest anymore. I was in a bus. The sun, streaming through the windows, was making it hard to see. The girl next to me was touching my shoulder, disturbed. I comforted her. I laughed it off. Comfort. It's all right. I squeezed her hand to comfort her. She looked at me, concerned. You were laughing, like, maniacally. I blinked. The memory of the dream was still there, and the taste of blood in my mouth. Look outside, glad I wasn't alone. I would look outside. Whenever I'm not the one driving, I'm looking out the windows. I looked outside. Trees were pushing up against the narrow road. Their boughs tangled, their trunks carpeted with moss. It was the forest for my dreams. We're almost there, said the girl next to me. Her name was Anya. We'd met a couple of weeks earlier on the orientation day. She was from Norway, a tall, broad-shouldered, calm person who wore her long hair in braids. Somehow, I'd managed to talk her into this crazy field trip across the land to my ancestors. We were there to study medicine. She seemed excited. Anya is friendly. She seemed excited. Anya reached into her backpack and took out 2 apples. I'm really happy we decided to come here, she said. Yeah, I said, offering her some of my cabanossi, dried, meaty sausages that were so much better than the original Polish ones back in the U.S. I was glad Anya had decided to come with me. I had problems keeping friends around and really needed one. I did some searching, she said from over her phone. And this place is amazing. The last primordial forest in Europe. It was my idea. Our summer language course was starting in a few weeks, and I'd managed to talk Anya into skipping the tours of concentration camps and old churches and visiting Loizy? I don't know. Sorry, someone's gonna have to tell me, educate me on this one, please. So far, it's beautiful, she said, in her eyes smiling. But why are we here again? Good question. Why were we there? There being Iowoweza is a village in Poland's Podlasie province in the middle of Iowoweza, forest, for which it is named. Okay. A small village in northeast Poland near the border with Belarus. It was famous for its national park, the very last European bison, and, according to a quick web search, occasional tensions between far-right troublemakers in the local Belarusian community. The most honest answer would have been because I've been dreaming about the forest since I can remember, but people didn't understand when I said things like that. I looked her in the eyes. Kept it simple so I wouldn't freak her out. I told her as much as I could. I told her everything. Well, she's a new friend. I'm going to keep it simple so I don't freak her out, and then, as it progresses, I'll tell her more. I'm looking for my roots. Kept it simple so I wouldn't freak her out. What I didn't tell her was even more important. I knew my family was from there. None of my relatives spoke about it, though. There were a lot of things that weren't spoken about in my life. Strange dreams that plagued me, half-forgotten tales about forests and wolves that I'd heard before my mom took me, ran away, and cut off all contact with my dad and his family. I waited for her to respond. Anya fell silent for a moment. I think it's great that you come from such a magical place, she smiled. The last ancient forest in Europe, thousands of years old. Wasn't sure if I was fond of that magic, but it was hard to ignore. And that was precisely why I needed to do something, anything about my future. That damn forest and my weird-ass family. I had a clear goal in mind. I wasn't there by mistake. I'd planned this trip for months with a clear goal in mind. I had to face the forest. I had to learn the truth about my roots. I had to figure out my destiny. I had to face the forest. Goal, mystery, learn about the forest. Cool. Eventually, I will find a good place to put you. How about I put you here? Is that a good place? I don't want to cover Anya's face. Okay. My dreams, my grandfather's stories, the fact that my family was from there. There were just too many coincidences. The forest wanted something from me, and it was time to find out what. But honestly, I had no idea what to expect. Welcome home? At least it tells me how to say it every time now. But I'm still going to say it wrong. I know I am. Iwoveza. It's going to take me a while to get used to that one. Looked like an overexposed photo of a village with the contrast turned all the way up. It was a hot, sleepy day on a hot, sleepy street, and everything, the old trees, the yellow grass, the weathered wooden houses, the fences, seemed almost normal. Everything except the shadows. They were sharp, as though they were freshly printed with the darkest of inks. And they moved. For a second, I could have sworn they moved, but then I realized it was just a black cat walking down the sidewalk. When it saw me, it stopped in its tracks. I decided to ignore it. I watched it with suspicion. I tried to pet it. When we went to Italy, I was petting all the cats. That's me in a nutshell. Pet the kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, I said, squatting and reaching toward the cat. It rammed me affectionately with its head and started rubbing against my legs, totally ignoring the outstretched hand. Hey, Maia, Anya said, looking at me surprised. Didn't you say your friend would be waiting for us? But he wasn't there, and the cat was still staring at me. Let's go. Anya put on her backpack. I'm tired, and I really, really need to find a toilet. For a moment, I was tempted to just get out of the sun and worry about my missing friend later. Decided I didn't need him, but the meeting was just too important. Yeah. Let's just wait a little longer, I said. I don't have his number, and we really need to meet up with him. His name was Bartek. I'd met him online while researching Biwovasia. Biwovasia. Yes? Biwovasia. I will get this, I swear to drunk. The man knew everything there was to know about local history. I asked him to look around for local stories about the forest. I hope he's found something. I really need to pee. Anya said it like I was a 5-year-old, and not a very bright one. Made my best puppy dog eyes. Caved. Tried another approach. Puppy dog. Let's just wait a few minutes longer. Please, pretty please. I made the best puppy dog eyes. It's important. The things we do for friends. Anya looked around to see if anyone was coming and then made a beeline for the nearest bushes. Watch my backpack. And you owe me. So I waited. And the creepy cat waited with me. Bartek was 15 minutes late, flustered and apologetic. It was his dad's company, he explained while catching his breath. He'd had to help him out with some paperwork. He seemed uncomfortable. I introduced them. Why would that be rage? I don't understand why noticing he's uncomfortable would be rage-based. I introduced them. That's what I would do. Anya, this is Bartek. I made the introductions. Bartek, this is Anya. Pleasure to meet you both, Bartek flashed his teeth. Sorry I'm late. My dad always needs help with his business and doesn't take no for an answer. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and had freckles all over his face. Come on, I'll take you to your place. His accent was broad and very Eastern European. I'm not going to try to do an accent because I will end up offending somebody, and I don't want to offend anyone. Flooded him with questions. Anya liked him. I caught him looking at me. Flood him with questions. Luckily, he loved talking about his home, so when I flooded him with questions, he kindly obliged. He talked about how the village had become a tourist destination, how the logging industry had moved to a nearby town, how the trains had stopped coming, and how the local train station had turned into a hotel for wealthy foreign hunters. The dozens and dozens of bison statues scattered around the village watched us indifferently. We walked along the only street in the village, slowly making our way toward the outskirts. The trees were growing denser, their scent becoming richer and more pronounced. I took a deep breath. Goal, forest. So, did you find anything linking me to the forest? I asked. Bartek shook his head. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Sorry. He was avoiding my eyes. A trickle of sweat ran down his temple. He looked afraid. What's up, man? I smiled. Spill the beans. I'm a big girl. I can take it. But he just clammed up. You know what? I think you should drop it. I stopped. I felt hurt. He was scared of something. It was almost too easy. He was scared of something. I turned to Bartek and touched his arm. What's eating at you, man? He shrugged and shook his head. You can tell us, Anya added gently. Taunted him a bit. I gave him time. Give him time. Bartek friendly, condition impaired. Okay. I don't think that's how that works, but okay. I swallowed the urge to shake him out of it and just waited. It took him a while before he finally opened up. The game tracks your decisions on how Maia approaches problems. They will accumulate and gradually reveal what kind of person she is deep in her heart. The story changes to reflect Maia's personality. Cool. Your willpower dropped to 0. When you lose all your health or willpower, you become impaired. This will make physical tasks, if you have 0, or a social and mental task, if you have 0, harder and sometimes impossible. Oh boy, we need more willpower. Well, he brushed his forehead with the back of his hand. I did ask. I started with the old people here. I told him that my friend from the States was looking for her roots and wanted to know about the place her family came from. You know the drill. At first, people were very, receptive. I waited for the other shoe to drop. And then I mentioned your name. Shook his head. I'm not going to lose my temper. I urged him to continue. I'm curious. Being temperamental does not help. Bartek, no dramatic pauses, please, I urged him. The tension is killing me. One of the old men here told me to go to hell. The other spat on the ground, and his wife crossed herself. For a moment, he looked younger and smaller, and then my own grandmother told me to stop asking. She said something else as well. I tensed up. What? I asked. She told me to pray for you. Suddenly, the sweet golden afternoon wasn't so sweet and golden anymore. Who was I? Well, shivers run down my spine. I laughed. Shivers. Shivers, that seems accurate. My grandma would pray for me all the time. When I was little, I felt shivers run down my spine. We walked in silence, but my mind was in overdrive. People didn't want to talk, and that could mean only one thing. I was on the right track. Hey, I got my willpower back. Hint, people were scared to talk about my family and the forest. Condition healthy. Cool. Progress, goal, mystery. My pulse quickened, and I tensed up like a hound that smelled blood. I was on the right track. Every time you learn or do something significant that brings you closer to your goal, you regain willpower. Cool. Bed and breakfast. Iwovasia. I don't know. Had a few hotels and hostels, but the preferred form of accommodation was bed and breakfasts. That's where we stayed. I found one that was nice, clean, and that had good reviews. We had a room on the second floor with a huge window and a great view of the forest. We dropped off our stuff, and soon we were ready to head out again. The day was hot. and we were young and restless. Will you show us around? Anya smiled at Bartek. Sure. What do you want to see? Before you go, check out your character sheet. Look for it in the upper right corner of the screen. You can find a load of useful info about Maia, her background, personality, goals, and so on there. You can also check who your friends and who your enemies are. Eek. Ooh, character sheet. Okay. Maia Borodich. Age 24, professional student, nationality, American. Personality assessment. Brave? No. Inspiring? Analytical? Spiritual? Yes. Cunning? Not really. Mind and body. Condition healthy. Goal mystery. Understand what connects you to the forest. Pursue to regain willpower. People were scared to talk about whatever connected my family to the forest. They didn't even want to hear the name. Relations. Anya friendly. Bartek friendly. Family. It's complicated. Cool. Biłowieza was a quaint tourist town, but I had other things in mind. The lay of the land. I had a clear goal in mind. The forest was calling me, and I was ready to answer the call. Anya and Bartek are with you. Indicates a change in Maya's current status. Your character sheet may contain more details. Let's not go straight to the forest. We should definitely visit the town the ancestors lived in to see if we can learn about the ancestors. We'll walk around the village. We walked through the village, bathed in the sharp rays of the summer sun. It was a lazy afternoon, disturbed only by the occasional passing car throwing up clouds of dust that hung in the air long after the vehicle was gone. Anya was walking close to Bartek, asking him about every little detail in the village. People were relaxing or working in their yards. Dogs were barking, and every cat we passed froze to look at us. People seemed quite friendly, though. Some of them smiled at us as we passed by, and every once in a while we stopped for some small talk with people who knew Bartek. I expected fewer stares. The cats behaved strangely. It was just a tourist village. The cats behaved strangely. What's with the cats? I asked as we passed a tabby who stopped in the middle of the sidewalk to meow at us. I don't know. Cats? Maybe they want to make up for the villagers' manners. Bartek shrugged. You know, some people are wary of newcomers. Xenophobic jerks? No. I was curious why. Yeah, tourists could be assholes. Tourists could be assholes, yeah. Curious why. Why? I asked candidly. It's complicated. Bartek scratched his neck, embarrassed by the topic. There's a small conflict around the forest, you know, and it's attracting some weird people. Activists, reporters, bored rich kids, he said, as though his dad didn't own multiple businesses. People like that. And they're getting on the locals' nerves. Notice Anya frowning. Yes, always pay attention to your companions. Anya looked skeptical. I looked the conflict up online, she said, and it didn't look so small. It looked pretty important, actually. For a moment, Bartek looked like he was lost for words. Well, you're not one of those crazies, and you're, like, almost local, he smiled. So, what would you like to see in the village of your ancestors? He spread his arms as if to show me all of the splendor the village had to offer. What do you suggest? Ooh. Cats were watching my every move as we walked along the empty streets. New friends, hidden tensions, family graves, mysteries of the past, lost hopes, strange dreams. Let's go to the old cemetery. Matters of the soul. So we have quite a few churches here. Bartek explained as we walked down the road. 2 Orthodox, 1 Catholic, and even 1 Baptist church, he said as though it were something uncommon. Ask about it. Was there a synagogue? It seemed like a lot of churches. Ask about it. And what's so special about that? I wasn't sure what he meant. He looked at me, a bit disoriented. And then it hit him. Oh, of course. You're not from here. Well, Poland is almost exclusively Catholic, so it's a bit uncommon to have all these denominations in one small village. Any Lutheran churches? Asked Anya. I don't think so. Bartek shook his head as he led us to a small wooden church surrounded by a cemetery. Anyway, even though we have all these churches, there's only one cemetery. The church was Orthodox, but the graves were a mishmash, I can speak, of styles and faith. Catholic, Orthodox, atheist, everyone resting together. Looked like he didn't approve. The place reminded me of a forest. There was something poetic about it. And that takes away the rage. Yeah, there is something poetic about that, actually. That's a nice sentiment. There's something poetic about everyone meeting in the same place when they die. Bartek smiled. There is, isn't there? He looked at the cemetery, and for a moment he seemed lost in his thought. All of my family lies here, he said. I mean, the ones that are dead. Hey, what do you think? What do you think happens when you die? Hope for something fair. You left an echo. I didn't know. Cunning. I don't really know, I laughed. I mean, I feel like there's something more, you know? But I don't really think any religion got it right. My mother raised me as an atheist, so I just try to live and have fun. Bartek nodded. I understand. Sometimes I'm not very sure either. He looked over the cemetery fence. Well, anyway, this is it. The spiritual heart of Iwoveza. Iwoveza. I'll get there eventually. I'll get the hang of it. We can go see something else if you like. That's where we stood. I wanted to go in, and it was clearly sacred, and he was clearly scared to let me enter the cemetery. Was he kidding? I just went in. Not so fast. I wanted to look for my family here, remember? I smiled, opening the gate. Bartek shifted uncomfortably. I don't know if that's a good idea. Why? What? Why? I turned to him, surprised. I mean, I told you people have weird reactions. Maybe it's better to leave it alone. So what are we waiting for? Anya smiled at him. He mumbled something and led us through the labyrinth of graves to the far end of the cemetery. We continued. The walkways were very narrow, and the whole place seemed quite chaotic. Catholic crosses, Orthodox crosses, no crosses at all, huge statues and simple gravestones, graves you couldn't see because of all the flowers, and graves that seemed completely forgotten. And then I saw the woman. Tall, broad-shouldered, and long-legged, with gray dreadlocks pinned to the crown of her head. She must have been in her late 40s or early 50s. She was marching through the walkways with fury in her eyes. Bartek quickly stepped between the graves to get out of her way. I walked on, ignoring her, did the same. I did the same. I followed his lead. I think the woman didn't even notice us, lost in thoughts and anger. Bartek looked at her with a mixture of fear and disdain. She was disturbing. Asked Bartek about her. Brogdon went on. I'm going to ask about her. Oh, excuse me. Who was that? I asked, watching the woman leave. Bartek winced. Oh, that's just... That's Olga. She's a local activist. She left Iwovazia when she was 18 or something and returned a few years back with the notion that she was going to change this place. We continue to the far corner of the cemetery. There, seemingly forgotten and covered in moss, was a lonely grave. Damaged. The tombstone was broken, deliberately. Someone had obviously smashed it with a hammer. The name was half erased. The plaque was also damaged. Someone had tried to scratch out the name, but the letters were still visible. There was a circle around the grave. There was a circle of coarse salt around the grave. I'm sorry, Bartek sighed. I didn't want you to see that. Look around. Oh, I didn't realize that took a lot of willpower, because I thought, oh no, I only had one. Okay. I looked at the scene. The circle around the grave was broken, and the disturbed soil where someone had kicked the salt away was fresh. What's going on? Oh, Mara's going to go see his dad, because his dad just got home from work. I felt overwhelmed and confused. What was going on here? Well, we don't know what's going on, so getting angry doesn't seem to be seem to make sense. So I let it go. I sighed and looked around. Anya squatted and looked at the plaque. I can't read it. The letters are all wrong. I glanced at Bartek. Is it Russian? Belarusian. The same letters, different language, he explained. There were a lot of them here before the war. I looked at Bartek, hoping for some context. Bartek put his hands in his pockets. So, you don't know anything about your dad's side of the family? He asked me cautiously. Whatever happened at least 70 years ago, and someone still remembered. He had a point. I don't know them. My mom left my dad when I was just a kid, so I don't remember much, I admitted. And she kept me away from them. She doesn't even know I'm here. I didn't tell her that I was visiting. Fine. Maybe he was abusive, said Anya carefully. Perhaps she wanted to protect you. Yeah, I guess. I want to look at the grave some more. I looked at the grave for the last time. My family's name looked strange, written in the unfamiliar Belarusian letters. As we were leaving, I was thinking, was I looking in the wrong place? I wanted to find what connected me to the forest, but so far I found nothing. Was I looking in the wrong place? With that thought, I left the cemetery. The day was hot and beautiful, yet I couldn't stop thinking about the devastated graves. Let's go to the abandoned railway. Train spotting. Bartek wants to show us the most picturesque spot in the area, Anya said. Maybe that's not the right word, he said, frowning. Well, it's not like it's that beautiful, but it has, an atmosphere. Climate. Ambience? Ambience? Anya said, at the same moment as I, and we laughed. Ambience, Bartek smiled, visibly relieved. I meant ambience. We ended up on some abandoned tracks. We soon left the village behind and ended up on some abandoned railway tracks. So this is where the magic happens? I grinned, pointing at empty bottles and used condoms strewn along the tracks. But with the slow, winding river a stone's throw away and the long, drooping branches of the old trees shading the unused railway, that place really was picturesque. The bees buzzed around us, the birds sang like there was no tomorrow, and the fragrance of herbs hung thick in the air. My head was spinning. Why was the track abandoned? It all felt unreal. perfect moment for a cold beer. Why was it abandoned? Why is the railway no longer in use? I asked Bartek. I wish I'd been able to come here by train. The bus was awful. It was a cargo line, he shrugged. Wonder where we're going. Where are we going? I asked, dropping the subject. The line ends at an old train station, but it's a long walk from here. He pointed in the direction of the trees. They turned it into a hotel. You could even spend the night in a luxury train car that belonged to a czar. It's a tourist thing. When we entered the dense coppice, we noticed a woman standing among the trees. Hello, Bartek, she said. She was stunning. The woman looked like she was in her late 30s and was the most beautiful person I'd ever seen. She had a perfect hourglass figure, long braids, and the most stunning cheekbones. Her eyes, slightly slanted, were a weird shade of blue, deep, almost purple. They seemed familiar, and she was looking straight at me. It was a challenge. Her eyes were hypnotizing. I took a step. Her eyes were hypnotizing. I stood there, transfixed. Hello, Elizabetta. Danny Lovna. Weird that you said her full name like that, answered Bartek. I could hear something in his voice. Was it fear? Respect? Anger? I couldn't place it. She smiled. I'm Lisa, she said, looking at Anya and then again at me. And you must be Bartek's pen pal, I assume. The one who's searching for her ancestry. How did she know? We exchanged pleasantries. It's better to be pleasant. Lisa asked whether I liked it here, what I'd seen, and how long we were planning to stay. Do you mind if I join you? She asked. Notice Bartek getting tense. So what's the story with you two? I asked Bartek. She's from around here. He shook his head. But she helps with the protest. You know, Lisa turned to me, the protest against the logging that his father so eagerly promotes. Bartek winced and snapped, yes. Sorry. Shouldn't we coexist with the forest? It means taking what we need to survive, just as everything does. 6,000 trucks of wood isn't taking what you need, kid. He threw me a glance looking for help. Logging in a national park? She had a point. People needed to have jobs. Logging in a national park. How can they log trees in a national park? I asked. They don't, Bartek said. It's just near the park's border. If it was about local action, there wouldn't be a problem, Anya chimed in. But it isn't. Giant corporations are at work here with heavy machinery. Ask your friend about his father's money and his clients, Lisa shrugged. Bartek stormed away. I shrugged and followed him. Lisa followed me. We walked the narrow path. The path was too narrow for all of us to walk together, so at some point I found myself walking with Lisa. She would squat from time to time and collect some herbs. So, you're looking for your roots, she said after a while. Why? I couldn't resist a mystery. I had dreams. Why was she asking? Couldn't resist a mystery. Analytical. Okay. My mom is hiding something from me, I answered. And I can't resist a mystery. Sit down with me. She nestled among the roots of an old tree, reached into her basket, and took out a blunt. Let's have a smoke, and I'll tell you a story. She noticed when I hesitated. You need to hear it. I sat down. I don't like to smoke. I have no issue admitting that I use Delta 9 for pain management, but I don't smoke it. My lungs are too sensitive for it, given my autoinflammatory disease. I am susceptible to lung issues, so when it comes to smoke, my lungs are very sensitive to it. So, I don't smoke it. I eat it. Tangled roots. Lisa let out a cloud of smoke and started talking. From what I learned from Bartek's grandma, you're asking the wrong questions about the wrong people. Cut to the chase. Should I be asking about the forest? Her voice is so soothing. Cut to the chase. Get to the fucking point, I said. Please, I added as an afterthought. This is a tainted land, girl, she continued. So much blood was spilled that... You're not going to tell me how to enunciate that? Okay. Huzza? I have no idea how to say that. Almost lost her mind. Was one of the words for forest. Polish had lots of those, but she used it in a weird way. Why do you call the forest I have no idea. Isn't lass the right word? I call her that because it's her proper name, she huffed. Lass is to... I don't speak Polish at all. What dog is to a wolf, domesticated, enslaved, used, okay? It is the primeval forest, one touched by humans, primal, strong, one untouched by humans, primal, strong, and feared. There was admiration in her voice, and I realized that the word sounded like the rustle of leaves, like the wind. Puszcza. Puszcza. Okay, Puszcza is how you say it, roughly. As I was telling you, Puszcza almost went mad. And it's not wise to wake those spirits, especially not now. What spirits? You mean the dead? I asked. She looked at me with those uncanny eyes. Her gaze was almost unbearable, hard, with anger smoldering somewhere deep within it, ready to jump at my throat. And then, suddenly something changed. Lisa sighed heavily. You have no idea, do you? About what? What do you mean? I asked. So, you have no idea who you are, she stated. Nobody told you what it was like here during the war and after it. Her eyes lost focus, as though she was looking at something only she could see. In 1939, when the war broke out, first came the Germans, and then the Russians. You know, they actually worked together. Stalin never forgot that he was beaten by the Poles in 1920. She shot me a glance. I nodded politely. Didn't really care, but I nodded politely. Oh, you have no idea what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter, really. She took a long drag. Anyway, many millions of lives later, Stalin and Hitler stopped sleeping together, so to speak, and the Germans came. And then the Russians again. And then there were the forest soldiers. The forest part got my attention. I listened, holding my breath. I'm listening. I was hanging on her every word. They started as Polish soldiers, but then the war ended and they became guerrillas to fight the Russian occupation, and then they ended up as desperate bandits, she sighed. For the people who lived here, they were all the same. Germans, Russians, forest soldiers. They killed, they maimed, they tortured, and burned villages. It didn't matter what language they spoke. What did it have to do with me? How did she know? She looked sad. She looked sad. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I touched her arm. I didn't know that was also tangled. My great-grandparents were from here, she sighed. After the war, there was some changes. My whole family was sent to Siberia to die. My grandmother was the only one who survived. She met a Buryat shaman, and here I am. But your story is tangled with all of this. She looked straight at me. The forest had seen it all, and it made people do things. Suddenly, I felt dizzy. I wanted to answer, but suddenly I felt dizzy. The smoke from her joint smelled funny. Of forest moth, strange herbs, and ashen blood. Drifting away, I tried to stay focused. Oh, I can't select that option. Okay. Because I have no willpower. Got it. What has she done to me? I tried to stand up, but a wave of smells and sounds and visions washed over me, and I drifted away. We were sitting around the fire, deep in the... I already forgot how to say it. Pushcha. Pushcha. The others are sleeping. I listen to the whisper of leaves. The forest is speaking to me, demanding action. It wants me to be its revenge. I find no joy in the task. It wants me to be its revenge. That sounds interesting. Excuse me. I understand what has to be done, and I can't wait to be the forest's revenge. I wake the others and tell them the plan. Tomorrow we're going to burn a village. I sit by the fire and listen to wolves howling to the moon, weeping for their slain brothers and sisters. Then the vision ends. When I came to my senses, Lisa was still looking at me. Get defensive, ran it over in my head. A lot to take in. Ran it over in my head. I understand what you're saying. I looked at her. Something from my family's past casts a shadow on my future. She shrugged. I've told you everything I know. If you want more, talk to my girlfriend. We'll be at the logging site tomorrow. Yeah, good idea. The forest was whispering to your grandfather. Okay. I will, I said. Now I finally knew who and what to ask. There you are, Bartok waved to me. Thought I'd lost you. I said my goodbyes to Lisa and we went back. Okay, I think after we do the village center, I think that's the end of the chapter, but I'm not positive because I've never played this before. So, new friends, hidden tensions. A bird of many colors. This is such a nice village, exclaimed Anya as we walked along the quiet street. Nothing moved. The heat was stifling. The village was really quaint. It's quaint, I carefully admitted. Is that a nice way of saying it's a shithole? Bartek made a disgusted face and we burst out laughing. I was thirsty. Yes, I am. Let's get something to drink, I proposed. I'm parched. The local store was a large mini-mart with all kinds of goods, from beer and vegetables to notebooks and pens. There was a bench near the entrance, and on it were a few local drunks. They looked colorful, so I waved at them as we passed. One of them wolf whistled and Bartek winced. I assessed the threat. They were creepy. They were an easy target for a joke or two. Assess the threat. They're drunk and no threat, I said, assessing the situation. We can always walk away. And if they try to stop us, all it'll take is a firm push. 1 or 2 kicks, and then we can make a run for it. Why do you even plan things like that? Anya shook her head in disbelief. My stepdad sent me to a self-defense course when I was 12, I shrugged. To help me with my anger management issues. Okay. We spent some time inside, browsing the Latvian, Lithuanian, and Belarusian goods. Why was there almost nothing Polish here? And who in their right mind drinks coriander soda? I was putting the soda back on the shelf when we heard a commotion coming from outside. Loud voices. Some slurs, some curses, and a clear, mockingly polite, I'm so sorry, darlings, I don't understand. Do you like my skirt? Ah, fuck, Bartek murmured under his breath. Look outside. I looked outside. There was someone standing next to the drunkard's bench. They were definitely not local. The person was old. Not helpless granny old, but old, with deep wrinkles and a narrow mouth. They had the unisex grace of a tired, heroin-preserved rock man. Their shoulder-length disheveled hair completed the look. Totally dug their style. They looked out of place. They looked like someone had teleported them there from a different planet. They had a clean shave and eyes highlighted with eyeliner. Their nails were painted in bright blue. They wore heavy army boots, an outrageously red skirt, tank top, and lots of leather jewelry. On their bag, there were pins. Lots of pins. All kinds of LGBTQIA. Well, there was no A in there, but I put it in there anyway. Plus flags, anarchist and pacifist symbols, and I think some German band stripes. Mom would have told me to stay out of it. I approached the floor. Stay out of it. Don't get involved, my mother always told me. You keep getting into trouble. You don't want to get into trouble abroad, where there's no one to help you. But that was the problem, wasn't it? I always managed to get involved. I couldn't just let it go, even now. God damn it. I smiled and, ignoring the men, approached the foreigner. Hi, I'm Maia. I just got here, I said. They looked at me with a serene smile. Nice to meet you, Maia, they said with an unmistakable German accent. I'm Kim. Pointing at the drunks, we start talking. Just that we should leave. Pointing at the drunk. Hi, Maru. Are they bothering you? I asked, trying to make my voice as polite as Kim's. It wasn't that hard. My heart was beating fast, but I had it under control. Oh. The person shined a blissful, mocking smile at the men. Not at all. Why would they be? Hey, someone said suddenly from behind her back. Kim smiled, and the men on the bench stiffened. Turned around. It was Lisa. You should stop drinking that moonshine. It makes you pick fights you can't win, she said. She looked ferocious. And the drunks started explaining themselves. Well, look at this. Elzunia. Said one of them, gesturing toward us. For the last fucking time. The name's Lisa. She was furious. And this is my friend. You're to leave them alone. Got it? Drunkards mumbled and went back to drinking. Thanks, Lisa, Kim said in English. You shouldn't have. Oh, but I wanted to. How did she command such respect? Why did they listen to you? I asked. She turned to me and shrugged with just a hint of a smile. Oh, they have their reasons. I think I saw relief in her eyes when she looked at me. Hi, Maia. I was worried you'd gotten yourself into trouble there. So, will you join us on the anti-logging protest tomorrow? She asked me after a while. Suddenly, a feeling rushed over me. I was burning, I was cold. Burning. I couldn't see the forest from there, but suddenly I felt very aware of its presence. I also felt something else deep in my stomach, spreading through my veins. Anger, like a wave of heat coming from the heart of the dark, ancient forest. A word appeared in my mind, a strange one, that was neither Polish nor English. Helgira. Noticed Kim watching. I felt like I was being watched, and when I looked up and saw Kim observing me with a curious expression. They were hiding something. They knew what had happened to me. I realized they knew I'd just felt this strange connection to the forest. Tell me, I asked. I know you have strange dreams, they whispered. I suspect the forest is reaching out to you. They leaned closer to me. The forest has chosen you. The words were like a punch to the gut. I can see it in your eyes. Who was I? Who am I? I asked quietly. You can see the invisible, they said, looking me in the eyes. You'll find the way. Suddenly, I felt confident. I felt a sudden surge of confidence. Met someone who knew about my dreams, condition healthy, okay. I wasn't making that up. There was something strange connecting me to the forest, and there were people who knew what was going on. Before I could ask more, Anya and Bartek approached, and Kim shook her head, silencing me. Meet us tomorrow at the logging site. They blew me a kiss, put their arm around Lisa, and walked away. We decided to leave as well. I kept looking over my shoulder, but no one was following us. We called it a day and went back. Oh, that's not the end. I thought for sure that would be the end of chapter 1. How long is this chapter? Click to pause the game and access options. I'm only 18% of the way through the game. I'm already 18% of the way through the game. Interesting. My voice is starting to get tired, so I think I'm going to call it here and hope that it saves because I am really tired. And I've been recording for an hour already, so my voice is ready for a break. I'm going to be so mad if I pick up recording next time and immediately end chapter 1. But it is what it is. Yeah, we'll go from there. I'm very interested to see how this goes. Like, I know it's a werewolf game, so I know the character is a werewolf bloodline. So I know that. But I'm very interested to see where this goes. So, I will see you guys later. And remember to do something nice for a stranger today. You just might save a life. Bye!